you to relax the amygdala? A smile. Guess what? People rated strangers, and they found out strangers who smile more would consistently receive better ratings. Now, this is the point of the program where the grumpy people start to elbow the person next to them, saying, just because I'm not happy on the inside doesn't mean I'm not happy on the inside. The answer says, science says it's clear. Yes, it does. And if you're so happy, inform your face. We are born with a superpower. The superpower is called empathy. Empathy is the ability to actually look at people and understand their emotions. But far more than that, empathy is actually the ability to feel what someone else is actually feeling. Why is this a superpower? Because it works so fast that even people passing you in your peripheral and you're paying them no mind, guess what? Your brain will automatically scan them and feel if they express emotion. Guess what? Let's say you're smiling. Mirror neurons activate in your brain to trigger motor neurons. The minute motor neurons are triggered, they mimic the emotions you see. Then the brain assigns the chemicals to those emotions, to those expressions, to those movements. So guess what? If someone's smiling, you get a little release of some positive chemicals in your brain. If someone's frowning, you get a release of little negative chemicals in your brain. That's why when you meet someone new, if you're smiling, the amygdala feels that release and relaxes a little. Even speech is governed by this automated process. Do you know when you hear someone talk, the first thing your brain does in 200 milliseconds say, is there emotion in what they're saying? If it's so positive tone, the brain releases a little positive release of chemicals. If it's a negative tone, the brain releases a negative release of chemicals. By 300 milliseconds, your brain does a thing called identity match. Identity match says, we can know a lot about a person just by hearing their voice. That's why someone can call, you've never heard them, you've never met them, and the first time you hear their voice, you guess things about them, right? Their race, their gender, their age, whether they're happy or sad. That's what you do consciously. But your brain subconsciously reaches over 100 decisions about people in 300 milliseconds. Wow. A study found that we in America can accurately guess someone's level of education in 5 words. An international study found that we can accurately guess people's emotions and emotional state in 1 word, even if the 1 word is not in the language that you speak. This is the power of this process. Now, we actually do not begin to process words until 600 milliseconds. So let me ask you, let's say the tone was negative, and the identifiers your brain did weren't attractive to you. Would that alter how you interpret the words? Well, of course it would. This automated process determines how we interact with the world. And although you're born with this wonderful ability to understand emotions, the skills are not fully developed right at birth. Yes, babies can get big emotions. Mom's happy, baby's happy. Mom's sad, baby's sad. Around 9 to 10, we jump up in a thing called accuracy. Now we're starting to understand a wide range of emotions of people. A critical thing happens between 13 and 14. Your accuracy continues to improve, but response kicks in. Response is when people show emotion, we as humans are supposed to be driven to respond. So when we see someone laying on the ground in pain, we say, I see you're in pain, that's the mark. I step over them. You're supposed to respond. Can I help you? Between the ages of 20 to 39, you reach what is called accuracy and response peak. That means you're supposed to be really good at reading and really good at responding. Now I'm aware some young ladies are sitting in the audience right now going, I have dated some guys between the ages of 20 to 39. They did not read my emotions well, nor did they respond well. And I will say you're probably right, because we also know this. Higher levels of testosterone dampen empathy response. So my recommendation to you ladies is stop dating macho dudes. Now, between the ages of 50 to 64, We now have a lower level of chemical response to the emotions of other people. That's supposed to be wisdom, folks. That's supposed to allow us to be more controlled. This way, if someone seems angry towards us, we can respond in a more controlled manner. Let me make sure you understand what I'm saying. If you're 60 and you're still responding to people's emotions like you did when you were 20, you need a brain checkup. After 64, a percentage of elderly people actually lose the ability to pick up negative cueing. That's why the elderly are targets of scams. Because imagine, someone calls you and you can't tell their sinister tone in their voice. Someone solicits you in your house and you can't tell the deceptive nature in their responses. That will make you gullible. Although you were born with this capacity to read and interpret emotional signals, guess what? It is not fully there. You actually have to practice it. One of the things we start to understand is this. Age-appropriate development to be able to read emotions of other people requires two things. That you have spent a lifetime looking at people and your brain has processed enough emotions that you can deal with them efficiently. Well, guess what? Empathy has been dropping for 30 years. In the last 10 years, it has taken a nosedive. Do you know why? Number one form of communication in the world right now is texting. Texting, email, social media does not trigger empathy response. As a result, more and more young people's brains do not process emotions of other people efficiently and therefore try to avoid it. And more young people are leaving this world not having the level of skill to have success. Empathy is one of the most evolved traits in human. As a matter of fact, empathy is the thing that makes us human. Without empathy, you can't understand people in social behavior and context. Without empathy, you'll be unaware of how your behaviors impacts other people. Shane Mackey studies pain and pain management at Stanford. He said, without empathy, we will wipe each other off the face of the earth long ago because we've been desensitized to how our behaviors can inflict pain on other people. So how can you reclaim the superpower? One, you can look. Go back to looking at people. Feeling an empathy response. And two, when you meet people who are different than you, guess what? Take control of your face, your hands, your posture, your gestures, your tone, your voice,